Hello, this is the second part of my exploration of Google Classroom, more specifically Google Docs, and some teacher functions for giving feedback within Google Docs. So the page you're seeing right now is from my Google Classroom page. I clicked on a student submission, and this will open in a new tab. It will show me the Google Doc that the student turned in. Some tips for giving feedback through Google Docs. If you've ever worked in Google Docs, it is so wonderful for feedback because it's essentially a live document. So more than one person can be viewing the document, editing the document at a time. So you can be in here scoring this document and the student can see that sort of live feedback. Again, if you've worked in Google Docs before, the most basic function for giving feedback is giving comments. So you can highlight any portion of the text. This is actually a real essay from one of my 7th graders. I just took the student's name off for their argumentative essay. They wrote about why you should have a goat as a pet, which I think is a fantastically creative topic. So I'm going to highlight the topic or the title here and say, what an awesome topic. So that comment will stay put. It will show the student exactly what I'm commenting on. And then as well, once you return it to the student, they can reply to your comment. Say you ask a question such as, tell me more, what else can goats do, or something like that. They can reply as well. So that feedback loop is ongoing. Some items to think about as you're giving feedback. Hopefully you've already viewed my page on my website, what is effective feedback and what to consider when we're giving feedback. What should our feedback say? So some big tips are it must be goal referenced, so it should have an achievable outcome. It should be actionable, so it should be something concrete and specific, and it should be transparent. It should be very clear to the student what they need to do to improve. Something also to consider beyond those basics is that we should be focusing our feedback on changing the student. That is, changing their overall performance, their overall understanding, not necessarily changing this one specific assignment. So just some things to keep in mind as you're going through and giving feedback. A cool function on here is the comment bank. So if you click on comment bank on the right, this is where you can house. Teachers, I think, typically give a lot of the same feedback. If our students are all in similar places, or some are in similar places, we give a lot of the same feedback. So you can create comments that you can just simply click on the 3 little dots. It will copy it to your clipboard. So that way when you go to give feedback, I don't know, I'm just going to highlight a random sentence here. When you go to give feedback that's on your clipboard, instead of typing the whole thing out, you just hit paste. And there's the comment. So that saves you some time. Certainly using that comment bank can save you time on that feedback. Again, we have to think about feedback as changing the overall performance of the student. So think about feedback that maybe not specific to this assignment. Obviously, that's good feedback. Feedback on proofreading, feedback like this one on details, but also more general feedback. If you see my example here that says, think about organization. What would be a better way for the reader to follow along with your writing? So that comment could go for any student writing. It's not necessarily specific to this task. It will improve students' overall performance on organization. So other things to think about. I also like to have just notes for myself. So this first one here is not necessarily a comment that I would give a student, but kind of a little sticky for me to remember that has to be goal referenced, actionable, transparent, that we're changing the student and not the task. So that's how you can use the comment bank. Definitely save you some time. You can also open, and I won't do it here because it will open a new tab and the screencast won't show it. If you click this box with the arrow in it, it will open it up in strictly Google Docs. What you're seeing right now is Google Docs within Classroom. So this is linked to your Classroom. That way you can return it to the student. It will stay kind of in their gradebook in Classroom. But if you open it actually in Google Docs, There are some other functions on feedback. Obviously, you can add different comments, complete different things. But I like working in here because it does link directly to Classroom. Another neat function with regard to feedback, and not necessarily giving written feedback like comments or anything, but students can practice, feedback essentially for themselves, some self-assessment, some reflection on their writing by giving themselves feedback. Once they turn this into you, you give feedback. Obviously, they can return your feedback, but maybe in class you ask them to identify examples where they use transitions, or identify, I don't know, your topic sentence in all of your paragraphs, something like that. So they can add comments to their own writing, a little bit of self-assessment. Another thing students can do, and you can do as well, is use the highlight function. I like pink. So I chose it for here, and it actually highlighted my comment in pink, but you can really highlight anything. So again, maybe you want students practicing with topic sentences or conclusion sentences, or the evidence they give to support their claim. So they can go in, use that highlight function to actually change the color, of the topic sentence versus the evidence, or whatever it is you want them to do. So that's another neat function for feedback. Overall, using Google Docs is a wonderful tool for student work, keeping everything organized. Having that live document really helps improve student work. It's not necessarily they turn in a paper and wait to get it back and then it's over. It's that feedback loop, that ever increasing data that goes back and forth between the student and the teacher that really helps students improve.